Welcome back. Well, our next guest wrote a middle grade coming of age novel set in Horicon, Wisconsin. It's called Turtle Boy and deals with the themes of isolation and the importance and challenge of reaching out and being connected, which we can all relate to during this pandemic. Evan Wolkenstein is the author. He was raised in Wisconsin, and the book is published by Random House Children's Books. Good morning to you, Evan.
Good morning, Tiffany. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm so excited about this. Turtle Boy is just absolutely adorable. When you read about Will, who's the main character, tell us a little bit about him and his 7th grade experience.
Sure. So Will he's an introvert. He feels socially awkward. He feels disconnected from the rest of the world in a lot of ways. And he prefers more than anything else to just keep to himself, stay in his room, and feed his turtle collection. He gets a lot of bullying because he has a kind of a mild facial difference that has earned him an unfortunate nickname, the title of the book. And the story is about what happens when, as part of his bar mitzvah social justice program, his rabbi gives him the worst possible task, which is to visit a kid in the hospital who's like an extrovert, a punk rock drummer, kind of a rough personality, to go and visit and to try to connect. And while that's like the worst possible thing for Will to have to deal with because he's such an introvert and afraid of new experiences, the two kind of work out their relationship together, and that leads to the unfolding of their adventures together.
It's true. He helps him fulfill his bucket list, and it's a really cute story of how it all comes together. Like you said, these two very opposite personalities finding each other. And that's one of the things that you explore in the book is sort of differences, right? And how we need to be connected regardless of those. So you explore culture and heritage and differences. Why are those so important to you to reach middle schoolers with?
Well, I think that every middle schooler, like all of us, feels like kind of alone on their island. It's part of just the human condition. And when you're in middle school, you haven't learned all the tools of getting out there and connecting to people in the way that you start to build up over a lifetime. And I'm somebody who's very proud of my own heritage, and so I used Will's sort of his Jewishness as a way to a kind of lens to the way that what is special about us and what makes us unique is also the thing that allows us to interface with other people. Difference and celebrating the difference and being proud of who you are kind of gives you those access points. And so his culture becomes a way to allow him to connect. And I'm hoping that this book will also make space for people of every different possible background to celebrate who they are and to see that with pride and to identify those as areas of interconnection.
I love that because, as you say, there's power in our differences and in being unique, and feeling empowered by those differences is something that we want our children to be able to embrace. And so I love the fact that you do this. It's cool because this actually started as an autobiographical comic strip for you.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. In my 40s, 30 years or something after. So as you mentioned, this is semi-autobiographical, and I did have the surgery that is one of the plot arcs of Turtle Boy. And 30 years later, I'm still kind of like coming to terms with what it was like to go over those bumps as a young person. And of course, every kid and every grown-up has these sort of secret hidden kingdoms of struggle. And that was one of the ones that I was dealing with. And so as an adult and coming to terms with being happy with who I am, I found that I was still periodically haunted by having gone through that experience. So I thought, what I'm going to do? I'm going to grab a pen, grab my tablet, I'm going to turn it into a comic strip and find a way to communicate out to the world what it was like to go through that. In another one of those, my story is unique to me, but it's something that is universal to all people. And I think that's what allowed that comic strip to become a book that might have much wider appeal, because I was willing to take that personal vulnerability and present it in kind of a visual form. And then once it was out there as a comic, it was a large jump, but a doable jump to turn it into a novel.
I love it. And I love that you mentioned vulnerability, because I think that begets more vulnerability from others as you begin to open yourself up and invite people into that inner kingdom of struggle, like you referred to it as. Talk about Horicon, Wisconsin. How did you find that setting, and why was it important to have it in Wisconsin?
Yeah, at first I tried to have it be set in San Francisco, which is, I live in the Bay Area with my family here. And it really wasn't working. And, I grew up outside of Milwaukee in Mequon. And as a kid going to Lakeshore Middle School in sixth grade, Mr. Kupchow took a bunch of students from our class to Horicon Marsh. And it was the first time as a kid that I was burst out of the bubble of my own family living in Mequon, Dandelion Lane, sort of like get out there into something completely unknown. And I experienced nature in a way that was both captivating, but also kind of terrifying because that was really new for me. So that feeling of being juxtaposing the very familiar, the feelings of Wisconsin and an area that I know really well, but also with the sense of the deeply unknown and the mystery and sort of the way that darkness can both be scary because we can't see what's there, but it also can reveal mysteries. I found that the marshes of that area became kind of the symbol for that. So once I identified that as the site, Horicon and the natural surroundings there became kind of its own character in a sense. And that, I think, is one of the things that allowed this book to roll forward.
Oh, well, we love it. And I'm so happy you joined us today on the Morning Blend. Thanks for joining us, Evan.
A pleasure.
Absolutely. I'm going to give the info for your book. Evan's book is available as a hardcover, an ebook, even audiobook. And he encourages you to support your local bookstore like Boswell. For more information and curriculum, you can visit his website. It's evanwolkenstein.com. And then he's also hosting an online event for kids and parents and grandparents to talk about and explore their own bucket list. So we've supplied that link to the event on our website. You just have to go to themorningblend.com so you can take part in that. Again, that's tomorrow at 3 p.m.